What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? You're on an episode of Chiefs Focus Live. We got Caleb, we got Tyron. What's up, bro? Long time listener, big Chiefs fan, big Chiefs fan.
Yes. How y'all
What's going
doing?
on? Good, man. How you doing?
Doing all right. Living, being
Yeah.
outside. Just enjoying the nice weather here in Kansas City.
I hear you, bro.
Thanks for coming on, man. We appreciate it.
Yeah,
Long time listener, follower since the beginning. I think when we started, so appreciate it, man. Thank you for coming on.
Absolutely.
So got a little bit of news going on now. Hey, what's up, Thiz? We got Thiz joining in. What's up, bro? Got some Buffalo issues that we talked about 3 months ago that are now starting to rear their ugly head. That's kind of expected this to happen. We just didn't know when it was going to happen, from what everybody, what we were told anyway. And now it's showing its ugly head. Looks like they gave Diggs an extension in March, a restructure for a lot of money, and now he's holding out. Doesn't want to go to mandatories. Doesn't want to do anything. He's just pissed off. I think he's mad about the rookies. I think he's mad about. Also, he's not really, from what we talked about on other shows, he's not very trusting of the organization.
Yeah.
And he's not the only one. The entire team's been that way. So, Philip, we got Philip on. What's up, Phil? What do you guys think?
Go ahead, Tyron.
I've heard a lot of different comments. I got one pulled up right here from Von Miller. He says there's no guy above the team, but you handle certain guys a different way, and that's just how it is. And he's talking about Diggs in that because I guess a reporter asked him. Josh Allen was like, I love Stephon Diggs, but like I said earlier, if a team like Buffalo is going to trade for a great wide receiver like Stephon Diggs, you're going to bring in the issues that he had at the previous organization because he was even with Minnesota too, and now he's in Buffalo and he's doing the exact same thing. And so I think the playoff game against the Bengals really frustrated him.
Oh, absolutely.
You could see the frustration on not only Josh Allen's face, but Stephon Diggs as well, because they couldn't get anything going. But I mean, at the later half of the season, like they were struggling offensively anyway. And so, we'll see what happens.
The team's in turmoil, bro. The team's in turmoil. What do you think, Caleb?
I agree. I think once we look as a whole, there's been a lot of issues. And because of that, we saw the Buffalo Bills have struggled. They have went to the heights of going to the AFC Championship game, getting basically blown out by the Chiefs. The next season after that, they put the Chiefs in divisional round. All the Bills fans thinking, oh my goodness, we just beat Mahomes at his place. Josh Allen went crazy. And Mahomes like, nah, 13 seconds. And then destroyed them there. So, I mean, and then the year after that, what we're seeing is that in the divisional round, they end up getting blown out by the Bengals at their home in the snow. So it's been a steady decline. And JP and we predicted, along with Quentin, is that the Bills are going to drop off. And this is one of the building blocks we eventually thought was going to happen. Now, does this surprise me? No. I think Stephon Diggs is a great player. I really do. But what I've noticed and what the problem is this. Sometimes they say he's a locker room cancer, but if things are not going his way, he's going to make himself known. And that's just him. That's his personality. There's been players like this before who have done it. Guys like I think Randy Moss did this eventually with the Vikings and the Raiders. I mean, this is not surprising that Diggs does this. Now, the interesting part is this. Is he going to end up being with the Bills, or are they going to trade him away? So those are the couple of different issues I think that's going to happen. I don't see him going anywhere unless something crazy would happen. But if a trade happens, that would surprise me because based off his Instagram post, I don't know if you guys saw that on the story face. Do you remember what it said word for word? It's something. Go ahead, spit it out. That's one.
I mean, it says, "I just be letting people cap. If them lies help you sleep better, tell them, big dog."
Yeah. And I think he's talking about the restructure, what JP is talking about. So unfortunately, and this is, I understand restructures are good, but I see sometimes why players don't like to do it because number one, they want their money. Number two, their promises. Not once did we see the Bills make any splash money. They lost 2 or 3 good pieces on the defense. They really didn't do much in free agency. They got an older Von Miller coming off a contract. All that quote unquote D Hop and all that other OBJ and all that stuff didn't pan out. So it's going to be very interesting to see how it's all going to work. So when it comes to this whole entire issue that's happening, at the end of the day, I think he might do enough of us to get out there. I just will not be surprised. And this is correct. Please put on the screen, JP. Diggs is a diva.
Here's the thing with Diggs, man. This dude makes T.O. and OBJ all look like saints.
Are you sure are you sure T.O. though? T.O. was up there.
But T.O. could actually back up everything he did. That dude was an Adonis. I've never seen anybody built the way he was built for somebody his size and to be able to play the way he played. Yes, he was a mouth. He was a trash talker, but he wasn't nearly as I guess he wasn't a baby like Diggs is. But, when you think about it, you got Josh Allen that's a pretty good-sized baby. Then you got Diggs that's a baby. You put those two in the same room together, it's just a recipe for disaster.
Well, I don't know if you guys remember seeing this, but one thing I remember seeing specifically is whenever this all happened, he got traded there, Diggs was like, Allen and I are both just misunderstood. We're about to just do great things. I mean, it's kind of similar. You guys do some silly stuff every single week. So it's interesting to see. And it's going to be interesting to monitor that. If he's going to force his way out there, they're going to have a common agreement. But I think not this year. If he doesn't get traded this year, it'll be next season. He'll be gone, just like it was the Vikings.
Yeah, I agree. And he's running out of time. It's not like he's – what is he about I think he's 28, right?
I believe so. I can look it up.
Yeah, I think he's 28 years old. So it's not like he's got a ton of time. I mean, he's got 4 or 5 good years left in him. And then
– yeah, he's 29.
29. So, I mean, maybe 4 good years left and he's done. But he's made his bed a couple of times, and now he's got to lie in it. Mm-hmm. And I don't think – look, McDermott's on the hot seat. There's no doubt about that. We know this. This has been a story that we've been talking about for a while about the turmoil going on in Buffalo. And now it's just starting to show up, or come, I guess, publicly, I should say.
Yeah.
But he's a cancer. I mean, they were considering bringing in D-Hop. They considered bringing in OBJ.
But here's the issue. I don't know if you guys agree with me with this, but can he coexist with another number one receiver?
No.
That's the thing. He wants his targets. So
that's the problem.
Yeah, that is the problem. So that's just kind of one of the issues we're going to see from here on out. I think maybe his third go around, if it happens, he's going to have to really look at himself in the mirror and try to figure out, I can't act this way. I got to figure out something different. So
he's got to humble himself at some point. He has to humble himself because this is a league now. Everybody's trying to mimic what the Chiefs are doing with the true spread offense. And if you're going to be that guy that wants to be the number one guy, you're going to fail in this league right now. It's that simple. You're going to fail. Mm-hmm. So you might as well just either go with the flow and get your rings and get your million for winning a Super Bowl, get your $500,000 per playoff game for winning playoff games, or move on. I mean, it's that simple. I mean, he's starting to act like AB. He hasn't gotten that crazy, but the end of that Cincinnati game kind of proved who he was. Screaming, "I'm that guy," hitting himself in the chest after he lost. I mean,
and this is one thing I've noticed too. Yeah, there's going to be some difficult times, but eventually, at the end of the day, what's going to happen is this: either you're going to be a team player or you're not going to be a team player. And I think Diggs has the ability to be a team player, but I think he's had so much from what I looked in his backstory of having stuff, quote unquote, on his back, dealing what he had to deal with as a kid, and specifically what we saw he had to deal with at Maryland with a bad team, and he was a 6th-round pick, and he has a big chip on his shoulder, respectfully so. I'm just wondering if that's going to cause him. I feel like he's a great receiver, but he's that step away, and I don't think it's, quote-unquote, going to a Super Bowl. I think it's being a good player within the locker room. D-Hop, you don't really hear any issues about him. Guys like AB, he's kind of submitting himself before he had the issue. We believe he has CT. I mean, there's other receivers you can look and see. They have separated themselves due to a lot of different areas. So there's a lot of different things there. So.
Yeah, I don't know. It just seems like they're going to be that team that you're going to hear about week 5 or week 6 that everybody's going to be saying there's no way they're making the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's just kind of how I feel about it. The more this boils, I mean, I had a feeling they were going to end up being probably 3rd in the division. Now I almost feel like they could actually lose that division.
Well, if he's not there, I can see that happening for sure. So
Yeah.
that's one of the things.
Yep. Well, we all know about Frank Clark going to the Broncos. There's been so many different stories out there. The Broncos fans think they just won the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
They can talk what they want. It doesn't really matter at this point. One player, look, I'm sorry, Frank Clark's a great player, but he can't make Russell Wilson any better. He's not on that side of the ball. So I don't think Sean Payton is the guy that's going to make them a Super Bowl contender, especially their first year. And with Russell Wilson. The one thing I can say about Sean Payton is he's not afraid to bench anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So if it comes down to it and you're at week 3, week 4, week 5, and Russell Wilson's playing the way he did last year, you might see Russell Wilson holding the clipboard or maybe not even in the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
So that's okay with me. I mean, I don't care. I don't really like the man anyway. I think he's a diva. And from what I understand, one of the stipulations with Peyton going there was that Russell lost all of his personal chefs, his main office, all of his personal masseuses, and everything else that was there are no longer there. So he is a regular person, regular player, just like everybody else on that football team. And that's what I think is part of the problem.
I do have a question kind of for Tyron. I mean, you saw all the things kind of happen with Russell Wilson. You probably saw all the memes. I mean, what was your take on the season and now? Do you think like he's done if he has like a first quarter of the season just absolutely craps the bed? Say the first 5 games he just does terrible. What do you think is going to happen? Because you've seen all the memes, you've seen all the speculation stuff. What are your thoughts?
I think right now, at least for me, it's too hard to tell. I mean, he's got good weapons around him. You know, like I mean, they signed the Bengals backup Pirine. Is that what his name is?
Yeah,
I believe so.
They signed Pirine. If Cortland Sutton can stay healthy, Jerry Jeudy's he's a dog. And then is it Hamler? KJ Hamler?
Yes, KJ Hamler's one.
He's got the weapons around him. I just think he needed a better coach, and I think Sean Payton is that coach. But obviously, we saw last year with Russell Wilson, like you can only go coaching so far because at the end of the day, the coach calls the plays, but the players are the ones that execute the play.
Exactly. Yep.
So, like, if Russell Wilson, it's not like it's 2013, 2014, 2015 Russ. It's just not. He's older. He's older now, and the game is a lot faster. The secondary is a lot faster. They're smarter, bigger, and I think he just forces some throws sometimes, and it's either incomplete or it's going the other way. And I don't know. I like Russell Wilson, man, but just over the last few years, like I think it was the COVID season. It was like he was like MVP caliber up until like week 7.
Yeah,
and then, like,
let Russ cook.
That's how he was. Yeah, I mean he was great until week 7 every year. It seemed like
he hasn't been the same since.
Yeah, he went from cooking steaks to cooking beans.
Yeah. He was burning water is what he was doing.
I hope he figures it out. I mean, at least for our sake to have at least a little bit of competition in the division, you know. But like, it's just the Broncos are going to Bronco, period.
Yeah. So, well, you know, one thing I have said, and I don't know, maybe people they'll disagree with me or not, but he lived off of a really good defense and a great running back for most of his, you know, the beginning of his career. And it seemed like when Lynch was gone and the defense kind of went downhill, it was Russ trying to take everything on himself and running everywhere and doing all the stuff that he did, but it got him nowhere. It got him absolutely nowhere. And we do know now, I mean, we talked about it before, but it's actually come out that Pete Carroll did want to cut him starting in 2018. He wanted to trade him, and that wasn't something that was going to happen. You know, the ownership didn't want it. President didn't want it. Nobody wanted it. Well, when it finally, you know, happened and Geno Smith just outshines him, I mean, makes him look like a chump.
Yeah.
then then it's time to go. Okay, well, maybe he just sucks. Maybe he's just not what they thought he was. And I'm not saying he sucks. He's been in the NFL for a long time. He's a good ball player. He's just not. He's not whatever. He's not this. Let me do the mantra in the middle of the field and spin in circles and have all this extra shit. He's not that good.
You forgot
He's
the
just
high
not.
knees.
Yeah.
High knees on the plane. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I like Russell Wilson as a person. I feel like sometimes he's too little arrogant. That's me personally. But I think he can play. But I
What
think
do you mean,
he's
Jay-Z?
represent. That's a good point.
Yeah.
He's that
Jay-Z.
player that shows me is this. You have to have a perfect storm, kind of like Terry Bradshaw. And if you guys probably know what I'm talking about, JP, you definitely know. But he had a very good defense and had some good receivers. And he survived a very long time, won 4 Super Bowls. I feel like Russell Wilson's like that a little bit because when he had a run game, when he had a good defense, and he had some decent weapons, he was able to do well. But as the defense started falling apart piece by piece, and it started, and when it started to be, no, we're not worried about the defense. Let's let Russell Wilson run the show. We start seeing and finding out pretty quickly, oh, that's not really going to work out. No matter how many ways Pete Carroll's able to basically disguise the problems he was having in certain areas, he allowed him to, she was able to get him to shine in certain areas. But now we see the Seahawks basically fleeced him in that trade. Pretty much fleeced him. Basically told him he was going to be the second coming. He might do what Peyton Manning did for the Colts. And they got the exact opposite. And they got to keep their weapons. So no wonder why Geno Smith had an up year. He's just a younger guy, more mobile, and he's able to play better with the weapons. And yeah, you can say the defense is there a little bit, kind of, but they're starting to get to the Seahawks of old. Football is a complete game. It's not just Russell Wilson on the sideline saying, what do you say? Broncos country, let's ride. No, it's like, let's, as a collective, let's work. And what we're seeing, it seemed like it was Russell Wilson above everyone else. And that's what became the real problem. And once we start seeing that as fans, that's where the memes and all the issues happen. Because Russell Wilson can play, but he did not have adequate help. And with all due respect, Nathaniel Hackett was not in a good position. The Broncos originally got him hoping they were going to get Aaron Rodgers. That was not the case. And with all those things that were happening as a whole, this is the issue the Broncos have to deal with. Now, they brought in Sean Payton, but he has a long way to figure things out, the salary cap issue and all these different things. So it's going to be interesting to see what they're going to be able to do.
I'm still going to give them third right now because the Raiders are just the Raiders. I mean, look, they suck. They're not going to get any better because of any reason. They're just not. They didn't do that much to improve their team, and they still have Josh McDaniels. And, again, Mark Davis still owns the football team. So I don't see them doing much. I think the Chargers may be because Staley's on the hot seat again. And he made some moves to keep his job this year, similar to what Josh McDaniels did last year to a degree.
Yeah.
But at some point, it's going to come down to, okay, if they don't make the playoffs this year or at least win a playoff game, they're done. Staley's done. But I feel like they're a better football team than the other two in the league right now. So in our division, I should say. So I don't know. Right now, I still have it. I think the Chargers will come in second. I think the Broncos will be third. The Raiders are going to be dead last again.
Okay.
That's just my opinion.
What do you got, Tyron? What do you got as your 4 teams in the AFC? What's your rankings?
For AFC West? Obviously, Kansas City, number 1. Chargers knocking on the door, just like they were last year, but can't get it done. So there will be 2. I actually have it flipped. I think the Raiders will be better than what people think they are. And I think they'll be third in the division, and then Broncos will be last.
Okay.
Wow. Okay. Well,
I think the Chargers are going to take a step back. I think the Broncos could take the number 2 spot. That's what I feel like. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I think at the end of the day, if something crazy like that were to happen, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, we're not dealing with like the AFC least with Tom Brady had all those years. What we're seeing with as a whole, Mahomes has been dealing with. I mean, even these games where these teams are not good, they're giving them literally their hardest fight as a whole. And with all those things that are happening as a whole, it's just caused a lot of things to happen. So I think at the end of the day, we're going to see it's going to be a flip-flop between those other groups of 3. So It's interesting to see.
This says he didn't have that kind of belief in the Raiders. I have a hard time with that one too. I mean, I do. It's just me though. But I don't believe in Josh McDaniels. I don't believe in his philosophy. I don't think he's a good all-around coach. I think he learned a lot as an offensive coordinator simply because, and I don't even know if it's so much learning a lot that it is just the repetition of it all, and then having Tom Brady there and some great weapons to to back up his quote unquote or solidify his game to a degree. But he screwed over the Broncos and got caught cheating.
Yeah.
He screwed over the Colts the day they were going to announce it. In fact, he was supposed to walk up on the podium and turned it away. So now we're at a point where it's kind of one of those things where you have to realize that he's not a good head coach. He's a good offensive coordinator, but he's not a good head coach. That's just how it's going to be. I don't know, but I think the Raiders are still going to come in dead last. I don't think Brady did anything for them besides maybe bail Davis out of some trouble financially because he's a mess all the way around. He keeps buying outside teams. I mean, he owns a WNBA team. Now I think he's buying a soccer team.
Trying to make his money. I mean, I can't blame him. He's trying to profit.
He's just buying into the wrong areas. The problem is that when you try to be a one-man show, you end up falling on your ass, to be honest with you, because you're a one-man show. You can't run 3 different organizations of that size and expect to be successful. And it seems like to me that he's let the Raiders go since 2002, since his dad died. Really, the Raiders haven't been in.
Yeah, they have struggled.
Yeah, so to me it seems like it maybe happened this year at this Tom Brady Raiders quarterback 2024. It may just happen this year.
He would lose all credibility if he ends up coming out of retirement for the second time. So,
well, think about it. It was almost too perfect, and we talked about this with Adam Rank on the show, or after the show. But if you could really think about it, it's like a perfect scenario. Okay, he's got his buddy Josh McDaniels. He's got the GM that's his buddy. Who else is there? Somebody else that's his buddy there. Danny Amendola. And then you got Jimmy Garoppolo that there's no love lost between either one of those two guys, and he's in a boot with a bad foot. And nobody knows whether he's going to start or not. And who do they got for a backup?
That's a good question. So they're in an interesting spot, and that's why the Raiders could potentially be third to last in the division.
Yeah,
so.
And it really – I feel like – and look, this ain't wrong. I feel like Tom likes preparation, and I think he's not wrong. I mean, Thiz actually brought this up to me one night, and I felt like an idiot because I never thought about it, and I never put 2 and 2 together. And I thought, wow, this is really like the perfect storm. So then I asked a guy here, I said, is this idiot going to play? I don't know. Probably. And I said, come on, man, tell me the truth. I said, is he going to play or not? And he goes, probably. I said, probably don't cut it. Either he's going to play or he's not going to play. Just tell me the truth. What's his plans? And he goes, well, don't be surprised if you don't see him in a Raiders uniform at some point. So I got a weird feeling we might see Brady dressed up in a uniform out there trying to play. And the fact that, he feels like he's, still got somewhat of an arm. Brian Hoyer. I mean, there you go. There's a great example.
He's been a backup for a long time with many different teams.
Yeah, that guy's – he's been on 8 teams or something?
I believe so.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Is there any –
Huh?
Is there any rule with, being a minority stakeholder in a team and there's not?
Not at all, man.
Okay. Well, he's on play. Watch.
There's no rule about it. So he's trying to pull the Michael Jordan, bro. Michael Jordan bought Washington and played for him for 2 years. He wasn't the same Michael Jordan, but he still played and he was still somewhat effective. If he, I would have my only thought about this is why would he? Okay, he avoided the good divisions for 20 years, 22 years. He avoided every good division.
Yep.
He was with the Patriots that had 3 horrible teams in their division for 18 years, and then when
Basically, a farm league with occasional Jets would have a spurt. The Bills had a spurt. I
yeah,
mean,
but it was
not
nothing,
much.
not much. I mean, he was guaranteed 6 wins a year, pretty much. Then you go. Okay, I could go to San Francisco. I can go to the Chargers. The Raiders wanted me as well, but I'm going to take the Bucks because that division really sucks, and I can be the man there too. And they had a stacked football team, without the quarterback. So they did exactly what he knew he should have done, is solidify the fact that he's supposed to be the greatest of all time. Statistically, if you go by rings, he is. If you take time out of the equation, he's not. So it's really hard to distinguish if he's the greatest of all time or if he isn't, because he played 22 seasons. Okay. He had top 5 when he won. We talked about this when he won his Super Bowls or was in the AFC Championship game. He had a top 5, top 10 defense every one of those years. The 3 years that he lost, he had a top 15 or above defense, and he had Randy Moss
He
and
did
lost.
27 season in 2008.
Okay, I mean, come on, man. There's just too much there to. There was just too much there to say, okay, yeah, he doesn't want to. I mean, he's an egotistical bastard. It's like all about him, So I can't see him. He's gonna, if he announces himself playing, it's going to happen during some big event, whether it be training camp or some big signing or something's going to happen, and then Brady's going to pop off and say, "Oh, I'm going to go ahead and play for the Raiders because we don't have a quarterback. Jimmy Garoppolo's not going to be ready, so I'm their only option." So that's basically how it's going to be. So I don't know.
Well, speaking of big signings, what do you guys think of the whole Chris Jones news of him not going to mandatory mini camp? I mean, he pulled this the last time around. Yeah. I mean, what are your thoughts on here from Tyron first?
I'm not too concerned, honestly. Like you said, he's done it before. They got something done, and I know he wants to be here in Kansas City. But yeah, I saw a tweet earlier today, and it was like, he doesn't show up in the regular season anyway. I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
I was like, what are you talking about? He just got his first playoff sack in the playoffs last year. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you must not be watching football then. I don't know what you're watching, but it ain't the Chiefs defense.
That's the word I was looking for. He's right. Narcissistic. That's Brady in a nutshell right there. Chris is pissed off right now about the Frank Claek thing. He wanted Frank to come back, and it didn't happen. We offered him a certain amount of money. Sean Payton duped him. It is what it is. He got duped. The Broncos said, "Hey, man, come over here. We're going to give you $5.5 million guaranteed. We're going to give you up to $7.5 million in incentives. You're going to be the guy." And he's probably going to be a third down guy.
Kind of what Von Miller was with
what he was supposed to be with
Bills.
Yeah. I feel bad for him, but in the same aspect, this is absolutely right. Chris has to get over it.
Go ahead.
His money, the money he was agreed to restructure on months ago, which is the exact same thing he did the first time, and then they waited, he held out, then he played, then he got his deal done at the end of the season. We're probably going to hear something that the deal gets done prior to that this year because we need the cap space. Because defensive edge. So.
When we look at it, I don't know how you feel about it, Tyron. JP and I have discussed this relentlessly. But do you think if they get the deal done, would you want the Chiefs to go after Diop? I know that's kind of a different transition, but I feel like these moves are like a domino effect. One affects the other. How do you feel about that?
I'm cool with the receiving core that we have right now.
Okay.
I don't really see. I get it. Like people want like the wide receiver one and things like that. But if Kadarius Toney stays healthy and they say that he's going to be wide receiver one, like I'm cool with that. because Kadarius Toney has shown flashes of what he's capable of. Like he's a hard receiver to take down. He's shifty. He bounces off of guys. I really like the pick with Rashee Rice. I really like that pick, even though I wanted Quentin Johnston.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all saw that in the group chat. I wanted him so bad. I was so mad when the Chargers took him. But yeah, I went back and watched Rashee Rice's film, and I was like, okay, like yes, it's from a mid-major conference, but a lot of guys come from mid-major conferences and produce really well in the NFL. And I think Rashee Rice is that guy. But I honestly don't want D-Hop. I get like the hype around it because like he's arguably like a top 5 receiver, but he's getting up there in age, and I don't know why you would move on from Tyreek Hill and then go after another top 5 receiver that's getting up in age too.
Yeah.
So I honestly don't see the Chiefs making that move. I think they're cool with what they have right now. I think MVS is going to have a strong second year in Andy Reid's offense.
Thank you.
I think Kadarius Toney, that's my guy, man. I've liked him since he played in Florida. So, yeah, I think our receiving core is going to be just fine. I think Sky Moore is going to have a big season with McCole gone. Yeah, so I don't want D-Hop.
Well, I will tell you this. I think you hit everything right. I mean, everything right. You're not going to go after – you're not going to pay somebody – look, D-Hop's going to want 15 to 18 million a year.
Yeah,
why? Because OBJ got that kind of money. And we talked about this 3-4 weeks ago that he was going to want big money, and now they're saying he wants big money. Well, why does he want big money? Because in the market – this year was notoriously low for wide receiver in the wide receiver market. The money was just not there. You know, you saw 2-3 year deals for 15 million, 16 million, but you didn't see 15 million a year. You saw 7 to 10 million a year, maybe 12 at the most. But when that OBJ deal got done, that's when he decided he wanted more money. And the Chiefs are not going to pay him. Never are they going to pay him 15 to 18 million a year. And not with the core that we have.
And this is what it comes down to. And Tyron, you probably heard me say this before. It's either going to come down to a ring or money. Pick one of the two. Do you want to have a ring or do you want money? And obviously it looks like he is going to pick the money. That's why I feel like personally, I mean, everyone can go and say, I want to be in a stable team and do this, that, and the third. I mean, those teams he listed, he has not taken a visit with. He's taken a visit with the Titans. He's taken a visit with the Patriots. The only team I could also see maybe going to was the Bears, but I mean, that would go completely against his whole understanding and ideology and belief. So some players want the ring, some want the money, and hey, at the end of the day, it's on them. I do get a little frustrated when I hear players say that I want to win a Super Bowl, and then they join like the Jets. I'm like, come on now. I mean, seriously. I mean, a prime example was Whitney Merciless? I think when he was the Texans a couple seasons ago, he was going to go join Kansas City and join the Packers, and they flopped. So, I mean, I don't know. It frustrates me, but regardless, at the end of the day, the Chiefs are bringing the right players, whether it's through the draft or it's undrafted free agent or they're taking up good players from other teams. So it's not hurting me, but I just felt like we were going to get all this top-level talent for cheap, and evidently that is just not going to happen.
You don't need it. I mean, that's the thing is that, you know, there's always going to be a team out there that says they have to have the guy with the big name. We have proven that we don't need that guy. We did it last year. I mean, for Christ's sake, we won with 10 rookies on the team and 7 that were active throughout the season. We don't need those big name guys. We just don't need them. And Mahomes makes everybody better. It's that simple. So, and what he just said about Kadarius Toney, he's right. I absolutely love this kid. I know Quentin's been down on him because he had some injuries, but look, every injury he had prior to coming to Kansas City was soft tissue injuries. Why? Because the Giants have one of the shittiest medical staffs in football. and they rushed him back on the field, similar to what the Chargers do with their players. And every time they did, it ended up being an injury again. Did anybody notice that when he came to Kansas City, he had two issues? One was a calf tightness, or hamstring tightness, I'm sorry. And the second one was a slight ankle tweak. Mm-hmm. No more soft tissue injuries. Why? Because our medical staff knows how to address it. They gave him, you give him a nutrition plan to go on, and that helps out a lot. You know who had a whole lot of injuries like that? Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill had a shit ton of calf, hamstring, and soft tissue injuries. Yes, he played through a lot of them, but he still had them. Reason being is because the man has and I hate to say this, but he's got little man syndrome. And he has to be the strongest. He has to be the fastest. His legs have to be the biggest. When he came to Kansas City, he would run the entire stadium, every step at the stadium for 6 to 7 hours a day. He would take 30-second, sometimes not even 30-second breaks between two rows of steps through all of the bleachers. And he would run the entire stadium all day long. He ran hills all day long. So it's...
Does that surprise us? I mean, Tyreek Hill's a hard worker. I have to say
he's a very hard worker.
Coming where he was in 2015 to where he's at now, I mean, he did nothing but work and work.
Oh,
work. I mean,
absolutely.
He was a high. I mean, Jalen Ramsey said he's an all-team return specialist, and then Tyreek Hill went out there and beat him. I mean, that's how Tyreek Hill is. I mean, he's a great route runner. He can be the running. He could play all the positions, the wide receiver. He could play in the slot. He could play the running back. He blocked J.J. Watt on the forgot what play when the Chiefs came back 24-0. I mean, he's relentless. So when the Chiefs traded him and got 5 picks return, it was one of the smartest things they could have done at that point.
Absolutely.
I mean, and
his work ethic is fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it's not, but what I'm saying is your muscles can only take so much.
And I think we could have, unless he's working crazy, we could see, like Clinton says, he's going to have a point where it's going to start dipping. And we see that with a lot of different players.
Yeah.
They're
he could plateau.
I mean, he's on a trajectory. He's doing well. Then we see him dropping off. I mean, I don't know how it's going to work with the Dolphins. I mean, they're getting loaded. I mean, they may get Dalvin Cook. I mean, it's kind of see at this point, a lot of stuff could happen. If he can keep it up for another year or two, great. But there's going to be a point where he's going to drop off something he can't do as much as he used to, like Dante Hall, like Dexter McCluster, like Dwayne Bowe, like all these Chiefs greats, Jamal Charles. It came down to those knee injuries. It's something is going to happen eventually, and we'll see. I wish nothing but the best. I would like for him to come back to Kansas City, but I think that bridge is unfortunately burned at this point.
He caught that bridge on fire more than once.
Yeah. He's been burned like 5 times.
Yeah, so. He burned that bridge with every Chiefs player standing on the bridge. I mean, he just burned that bridge. It was like, man, he went in and caught Arrowhead on fire. But he's adamant about retiring after this contract. So
that's fine.
If he wants to retire after this contract, which I think he's not going to see that 4th year. So he might. I mean, I think what bothers me about it is that he wanted to be the highest paid wide receiver in the league. And Tyron, you know football well enough to know this, that's a fictional number. That $30 million a year is a fictional number.
Well, the big thing that's always going to be there is taxes.
Well, not just that,
the number to be high so they
much.
can get as close as they can.
Yeah, but you never get that kind of money. The first year is always, you'll get $5 to $8 million of it plus a signing bonus. You may get to 15, 18 million. The second year, it may be 24 million. The third year, you'll restructure or something, or they'll move some money around. All your money is backloaded, so it comes in the third and fourth year. Mm-hmm. If you're not producing in the third year, there's an out for that team.
Yeah.
At the end of that third year, you're out no matter what. So you're not going to see every dollar of that money. From what the Chiefs offered him versus what he missed out on is relatively the same. It's relatively the same. Yeah. If you take Super Bowl money, you take playoff money, endorsement money, and everything else that comes along with being a Chief, and you add all that together, you're basically making the same amount of money as you're making with the Dolphins. Mm. You may be making a little less with the Dolphins because they sniffed a playoff game. They sniffed it. I mean, it's just not. It's not feasible. I think a lot of the times these guys, their ego gets in the way and they want to see that big number. Oh, that big giant number. It says $30 million. I know I'm only getting $5.8 million of that, but I want to see the number on the contract that says $30 million. I want to be the highest paid guy, even though you're not the highest paid guy. Frank Clark just went through that. I mean, he just lost. I mean, I think at the end of his deal, he was what, $32 million is what he was owed from the Chiefs. He got $7.5 million of it. So that tells you how it actually works. And really, if he'd have came back to the Chiefs, for all intents and purposes, he got offered, from what I understand, $4 million. Now, if he'd have come back with the $4 million, that's $11.5 million he'd have made for one season. To come back and get his sack record, by the way. And most likely get playoff money, most likely get Super Bowl, that $1 million Super Bowl money. Yeah. But yet he chose to go to the Broncos for $5.5 million guaranteed. And then the taxes are higher in Colorado. The income tax is insane there. I think it's like 23%. So when you figure in how much money he's going to pay his agent, he's going to pay. Think about it. You're paying your agent, whatever it is, whether it's 3%, 5%, or 8%, doesn't matter. Then you figure in state income tax, federal income tax. Every state that you play in, you pay taxes in that state because you worked in that state. Then you got city earnings tax that you have to pay as well. In California, city earnings tax is you could cross the street and have to pay city earnings tax in two different places. So not only are you paying city earnings tax where you live, you're paying where you work. Kind of like how it is for people that live in Kansas and Missouri. It's the same thing. You work in Missouri, you live in Kansas, you pay earnings tax on both sides. Vice versa, it's the same thing. He's not going to make nearly the kind of money. That $5.5 million may be guaranteed, but he's going to see about $3 million or less of that. He's not going to get his incentives. He's not. There's no way he's going to get those incentives. Not with that football team. So I think it was a mistake on his part, but I like Frank. We got to interview him. He was a great guy. He let us interview him over everybody else, Channel 5, The Star, another group. I mean, he's a great guy, and I still love Frank to this day. If he came back tomorrow, it wouldn't hurt my feelings. But he was going to come back and play for the Chiefs, but he got duped. He got his agent in his ear. He got a little extra money thrown at him, and he took off. So it is what it is. Neil Smith did the same thing, but Neil got a ring. Neil didn't get a ring with Kansas City. He got it with the Broncos. But who did he retire as?
Chief.
He retired a Chief.
Yep.
And where does he live? Blue Springs. Where has he lived for the last 30 years? Blue Springs.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It just is what it is. But the Chiefs are looking at a veteran defensive player right now. I did want to ask around a little bit. They've talked to like 4. One of them that I would like to see them get, if it happens, is Yannick.
And Gok?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I know they have talked to him. I know that Carlos Dunlap has been brought up again. But Yannick would be a great player if that can get worked out. But a lot of that's going to depend on restructure money.
Okay.
Chris Jones is the only one that right now had agreed to a deal. The deal was agreed upon. It was worked on honestly, it was worked on before the Super Bowl. And it was supposed to have been done. Now he's holding out again. This is the same thing he did the last time. Now, whether he wants to, if he wants to go ahead and sign, he loves Kansas City. He loves being here. I'm sure he's going to re-sign. I think it's going to be earlier than it was the last time. It's not going to be the end of the season or, the beginning of the next season. It's going to be, I think if it's going to happen, it's going to happen prior to the season or right at the season starting. So, but he has to play for us no matter what this year. He doesn't have a choice. Unless we decide we want to trade him, which I don't think they're going to do. He'll figure something out.
Well, you're saying Ngakoue. What do you want to hear from you guys? What are some other defensive players you think the Chiefs could probably try to trade for? I'm just kind of curious. We want to hear from Tyron first.
You said trade for?
Yeah, trade for or pick up any defensive ends or just defensive players in general to kind of help. Is there one in particular you would like? I mean, JP said Ngakoue. I think he's a free agent. He's played with the Jaguars for quite a few years.
I think that would be a good one. Well, shoot, if it hadn't worked out in Jacksonville's favor, with him like having like a little bit of a resurgence,
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see Josh Allen.
Yeah, we were all hoping that last year. We were on Josh Allen watch. I remember everyone was like, "Oh, is Josh Allen going to come here?" Mm-hmm.
Everybody tried. Everybody tried. I mean, it wasn't like it didn't. It didn't. You know who else that everybody's really down on is and why did his name just slipped my mind? Washington. What's his name?
Chase
Washington.
Chase
Chase
Young.
Young.
Chase Young, yep.
Now think about it like this: you give, and that's another player that I know that can work out with the Chiefs. Is that you got Clyde Edwards-Helaire that we don't want. He doesn't want to be here.
Mm-hmm.
EB likes him. You give Clyde to them, and maybe a fifth to a sixth round pick. Just say a fifth round pick, and then you get Chase Young and a sixth round pick back. What's wrong with that?
And the reason why I think it will work is this: you have 2 first-round picks who just not pan out. Just do the swap, throw some picks in there, call it a day.
Yeah.
Chase Young is not working well with the Washington football team. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is not really working with the Chiefs. They both have glimpses of success, but a lot of struggles with injuries. I think this is the trade switch. I believe the Chiefs should give them a 5th-round pick and return JP, give them back a 6th-round pick, just because of obviously there's a difference between the 2 players. So that is one player I would like to see in order to help. I mean, if that could happen, I mean, awesome. I don't know if you guys saw this. He was actually Chase Young was actually here in Kansas City during the draft.
Yes, he was.
So I don't know if that was anything right there, him just hanging out. But hey, I would take that in a heartbeat.
I don't think he was just hanging out. I'll just say that. I don't think he was just hanging out. He didn't pull the Tyreek Hill. Tyreek can't get Kansas City out of his head. Man's been back to Kansas City like 5 times in 4 months. Yeah. I don't know why the hell he keeps showing up. It's not like he owns a house there. He rented that house he was in. So I don't know what he's doing, but it is what it is. The thing with Chase is that he didn't just show up for no reason. So I would say keep everybody's eye open on Chase. You know, that's one player. But Yannick, I know for a fact they've talked to. By the way, Trey Flowers. Okay. So don't sleep on Trey Flowers. You know, I'm just saying, don't sleep on him.
And then that guy from the Vikings, I think Hunter, I think his name, Darnell Hunter.
Yeah, Darnell Hunter. Yep.
So that's another guy. Go ahead, man.
I was just saying I like him too. I would like Chase Young a lot.
Yeah.
Like I think he would be a good fit. Like him and Karlaftis together, that would be that's scary. That's scary. So, but I do think it would be good to have another veteran presence there to just help mentor the young guns in the room. Just like Karlaftis said, like he was like, I love Frank to death.
Yeah.
Like that was his guy too. And so I think just another veteran presence in there, like I'd be okay with bringing Carlos Dunlap back.
Me too.
When he was on the field, he produced.
Yep.
So he took advantage and maximized every snap that he was on the field. So, I think that's something that, as a fan, I admire because I don't like it when players take plays off.
Yeah.
Like
I see what you're saying.
For example, like Tyrann Mathieu, I love Tyrann Mathieu to death. Like I grew up watching him when he played college ball at LSU, followed him all the way, and when we signed him in 2019, like that was the first jersey that I went and bought. I was like, I need to get me a Tyrann Mathieu jersey. But dude, like the last year that he was in Kansas City, dude took plays off, man. He did. And I'm like, the heart was, the passion wasn't there.
There was some reasoning behind that. I mean,
for sure.
There was a lot of internal problems going on with, you know, a defensive line coach, a secondary coach, issues with Spags not listening to the players. Sam Madison was a massive issue. I mean, to be honest with you, he was a massive issue, and he caused a lot of problems for not only Tyrann Mathieu, but he caused problems for Thornhill, and that was a huge issue. Mathieu played very well with Thornhill. He knew that Sorensen was not great outside. He got burnt. He was responsible for so many touchdowns and so many wide open catches that it just pissed Matthew off. And he assumed in his mind that people were laying down and not doing their job. So he just, decided he was going to prove a point. And that point got him sent off to the, to Louisiana. So
retirement home or
to the retirement home.
Second contract.
Atlanta.
So we have four or five former Chiefs players are on there. You got Dirty Dan, you got Passanio, you got Saunders, you got Matthew, and you got, I think there's one more. I mean, they're just
there is one more, and I can't think of who it is. But you're right. I mean, they all got shipped down there, and there's a reason behind it. But that all that headache is gone, which is nice, and we got a group of young, crazy ass good secondary guys that just all rookies last year up until about week 8. They weren't rookies after that. They were just freaking stars. I mean, all of them were.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when we lost Ward. I was pissed about losing Ward. He was one of the most consistent CBs we had in a very long time. Yeah, he wasn't the pick machine that everybody wanted him to be. But again, if you understand football, it's similar with Frank Claek. Frank Claek didn't get all the sacks, but yet he covered that corner very well. He was still the fastest off the ball, and he pushed everybody to the other side. And how many running backs did you see come his direction? Not very damn many. So Ward was the same way. He didn't allow a lot until we played the Bengals, and they left him out there alone on an island by himself, which was just fucking stupid. But they did it. And they also left Fenton out there, which is even worse. I mean,
yeah, it was a little rough time.
That was a mistake, a huge mistake. So the addition of Joe Cullen and what's his name, Andy Heck, that changed everything with our team. It really did. And I think Jones knows that. Chris Jones absolutely knows that. He knows that his production doubled, if not more, because of Joe Cullen and the way he schemed up that defensive line. It is what it is. It was just, and look, Carlos Dunlap, if anybody wants to complain, the man was 34 years old, and he batted down a pass. I think it was 16 out of 17 games last year. So, and he was never not in the backfield. You never seen him not in the backfield. He was always stopping something from happening. He wanted to play more snaps, but the Chiefs were smart. They didn't pull the Buffalo Bills. They didn't put him in a position that he had to be that quote-unquote starter and end up blowing out a knee or blowing out an ankle or doing something to end your season at 33, 34 years old. That's what the Bills did to Von Miller. They saw how well he was playing. They overplayed him, and they got him injured. And that started the downfall of the trust factor of Sean McDermott. That's what started the trust factor issue. And that's exactly what I was told by my guy out in Buffalo. And you're seeing the repercussions of it now. You got a diva that doesn't want to play. You got locker room issues. They didn't do much to help, really. I mean, they signed one really good player out of college, but it just kind of is what it is. And hey, I wanted to play this for you, Tyron, because we love it so much. And I know you can remember this because I do. Let me play this for you really quick.
According to Ian Rappaport, Pacers are trading back.
They trade well, or they trade back.
New England has traded six. Kansas City is now on the clock.
Meanwhile, the Patriots just traded down. The Chiefs just traded up from 29.
Did you hear him? He said, fuck.
Oh, yeah. I remember that quite well.
I will never lose that video, dude. I will never. I've got that thing saved in like 5 clouds. I mean, honest to God, I will never lose that video. It was the best thing ever. I was kind of hoping for another one this year, but it just didn't happen for us. But
I've been perfect. They did it to the Bengals, but it just didn't happen. That's fine. I'm not going to have fun there. So.
Exactly. So I don't know, but I think you're going to see probably. I'm going to say right before training camp, a defensive edge. One of those guys is going to get signed. And it's going to be right before training camp.
I agree with you too.
So, well, we got a comment here. Who is it? He said that's right. That's right. He said that's why they drafted Witherspoon this season. You're right. Stole McDuffie from the Bills. Absolutely, we did. What Barry say? I didn't see Barry's up here. He said there's a Viking and a Colt out there for the Chiefs front four worth the money. Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. As far as Frank not having anything left in the tank, he actually does. I think you have to look at what Frank went through, and this is what I explained to people prior to it even coming out. He's dealt with a stomach issue, and we talked about it on this show for, 3 years, Caleb? I mean,
Yeah.
He's had a stomach issue that will never go away. He dealt with that, and he played through a lot of it. It just happens. You can't control what happens to your body. Now, when he went through his depression and he felt like he wasn't doing all of what he should be able or could be able to do, that was on him. But Andy helped him, and we talked about that as well. And Andy helped him a lot. And then that came out, and Andy did help him a lot, which that's what surprises me a little bit about him leaving to go to, especially to the Broncos. But it kind of is what it is. He's friends with Russ. He knows all the hate that Russ got, and maybe he just, the money and the fact that he said he wanted to stay within his division that he knows.
We seen go to the Raiders.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
The one thing I will say is John Gruden did this the first time he was with the Raiders, and he actually did it the second time he was with the Raiders. He poached players from us that either we weren't going to sign or weren't going to sign for big money, thinking he's going to get information out of them. It's a huge mistake to do that against Andy Reid, because Andy Reid is not – when you get a play sheet from Andy Reid and you're not Patrick Mahomes or Matt Nagy, your play sheet is exactly what your play sheet is for that week, and it's defensively. So if they think Frank Clark is going to give them a bunch of information that's going to help them, he's not. Because Mahomes has changed his game. The wide receivers are different. Everything has changed right now. So it's not going to help them defensively and from a intelligence standpoint, if you will. But maybe, I hope Frank does well. I really do. I like Frank, and I hope he does well. But it's not going to help them as far as learning anything about what the Chiefs do. So, kind of is what it is. What do you think, Tyron?
Yeah, I think I love Frank Clark, man. Like that, he really turned it around, and I just love the shot of him after the Super Bowl, and he's weeping, just sobbing, because he puts his whole heart into it, and just everything all the adversity that he faced during the season and before the season as well. I love Frank. I hate to see him go, especially to Denver. That literally put a pit in my stomach. I was like, really?
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Yeah.
Literally anybody else. But yeah, man, I think I'm really excited for the season. I'm excited to see what our defense does, because they're going to be young, fast, secondary's solid. I really like Brian Cook. I think there's a reason why they let Thornhill go. And our linebacker core, I like Leo Chanel, Nick Bolton, of course. Willie Gay is my favorite guy on defense right now.
Yeah.
He just brings a different energy, man, and I really like him. But yeah, I'm really excited for this season. Trying to get to a couple games this year. I'm actually going down to New Orleans because my mom lives in New Orleans.
Okay.
And we're going to the first preseason game in August.
Oh, that's cool.
Because she doesn't really get a chance to get up here and come to Arrowhead. But she's like, I'm determined to come this year. to Arrowhead. She's like, I got to, because she hasn't been since probably 2016. So get her up here, get to Arrowhead tailgate, get the whole experience, especially being the reigning Super Bowl champions.
Yeah.
So
It'll be a good time.
Good times. Well, any predictions real quick from you on the season, like record wise? We all put ours out. Let's hear yours.
I say the floor is probably 12-5, but ceiling probably 14-3, if not 15-2. Like nobody scares me. Nobody scares me.
No.
On our schedule. I think the part of our schedule that's difficult is like the scheduling itself. Because there's a lot of back-to-back games that are really tough. And like week 4, I think it's week 4 against the Jets on Sunday Night Football. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna be. I think that's gonna be a tough one. Just because you're on the road early in season, it's always tough. But I know Andy gets those boys into shape, and that's why we've been one of the most successful team over the last 10+ years.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I agree. Well, I don't know if you've heard of them, but I have. This show is sponsored by Manscaped. Have you heard of them?
I have.
Okay. Well, if you guys haven't seen it, you need to go on to manscaped.com, use the promo code ChiefsFocus, and get 20% off your entire order. If you do that, DM us your receipt. We will enter you in for the 4.0 kit.
Oh.
It comes with everything you need. It's about a $179 kit. Comes with some really cool items. It's not just for your balls. So everybody out there that's worried about just for your balls, I mean, hell, you got a beard. It's got a great beard, grooming kit. It's got shampoo. They've got shampoo. They've got body wash. They've got conditioner. They've got razors. They've got everything you ever need. Plus, you can take care of your nuggets. But it's one of the best items. We got them sent to us, and I was like, wow, I never dreamed about using this kind of stuff. And then we did, and wow, unbelievable. That's a huge difference all the way around. And by the way, it comes with a pair of underwear, boxers that are just amazing. Most comfortable damn things I've ever worn. So get your, go on manscaped.com and check it out. You guys won't be disappointed. But with that being said, I don't think we have anything else. Do you?
No, we're all good to go.
All right, then. Well, man, we really appreciate you jumping on. And
thank you.
We will definitely have you on again. Whenever you want to come on, you can just jump on, give us a call, give us a text, whatever it is you want to do, and we'll have you on again. But with that being said, we will talk to you guys later on. Peace out.